Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about how hypocritical Disney is. There's been a lot of discussion about Disney pulling its ads off of X, formerly known as Twitter, and of course, Elon Musk famously telling Bob Iger to basically F off.
Yeah, now we talked about this the other day, but there's been some more information that's come out about where Disney is now putting their money. And there's not just one state going against Meta. It's a whole bunch of states going against Meta, and Disney keeps upping their spend there.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because they were citing safety concerns and they did not want to have their ads next to problematic content. Wait until you see what they're suing for. We're going to talk about that. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go to shopclownfish.com, and yes, I have to change the date on this. We are reopening the second chance offer for previously on Clownfish TV and Crimson Wren Volume 1 graphic novels, and I guess we'd call this the second chance, but we have some books left after fulfillment. You can grab copies of those while we have them in stock.
Yep.
Out on Shop
Shipping
Clownfish.
them now. So
Shipping them now. All right. So tell me what's going on.
Okay, so if you've been following along, then you know that apparently Elon Musk had commented on a thread that seemed like it was anti-Semitic. I don't know all the details about that one, what the group was, but it did not look good. Okay, it did kind of look like shit. And so a lot of advertisers pulled, and then there was a whole situation too that you had described that Media Matters apparently, and they're getting sued for this. He alleges that they messed with the algorithm to make terrible accounts and quotes appear next to Disney ads or other advertisers' ads to make it appear they were servicing ads to quote unquote hate groups and things like that. So that was going on as well, and to which advertisers pulled, Disney being one of them.
Well, yeah, because if somebody comes to you and you're not really looking at this and you don't understand the machinations behind the machine, the website, and they come to you and say, hey, you're running your family-friendly ads next to like Nazi propaganda or whatever, you'll be like, oh, no, we don't want to do that.
That's a bad look.
That's a bad look.
So, and also, I'm not going to lie, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that X isn't run by the right kind of people anymore, according to, and we know Bob Iger himself is very, very far left. Yeah. So I'm sure that plays into it. A lot of these companies definitely are, and they are mad because they don't have power over X, and X was very key to the last election. That's not going to be relevant to this video, but I do think that plays into it. And to all the people that are like, oh my God, because you're alt-right MAGA, fuck you, not even Republican. Anyway, so moving on.
You sound like Elon Musk. You must be alt-right.
No. Okay, so we explain what happened, and I guess when this happened, Bob Iger made the comment, I have a lot of respect for Elon and what he's accomplished. We know that Elon is larger than life in many respects, and his name is very much connected to the companies he founded or owns. By him taking the position he took in a public manner, we felt that the association was not necessarily a positive one for us. Meanwhile, apparently it's a positive association to make with the company that's getting filed against by 33 states for violating COPPA laws.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, explain what COPPA is.
Yeah, COPPA is the children's, I forget what it stands for exactly, but it's basically, 1998 law that basically bans advertising or getting personal information, I guess, from minors. This was a big deal a couple of years ago. There were multiple YouTube adpocalypses, and one of the results of the COPPA, that's like Papadopoulos from Webster, that's how old I am. The COPPA apocalypse was that there were all these videos that had kids in them, like family routines and gymnastics and yada, yada, yada. Well, you weren't allowed to comment on them anymore. Sometimes you weren't allowed to advertise on them anymore. So there were channels that dried up overnight. If you had kid specific content,
which was ironic, because 2 years before they pivoted everything to family friendly kid content because they were mad about what happened with PewDiePie in 2017. So they went to the kid thing and then they turned around and penalized you for being a kid channel 2 years later.
So I think
Disney was one of the leads in the 2019 issue.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what apparently kind of triggered this or started this one, as I understand, was a lot of and I think it was just Disney being ass mad, those creepy Elsa and Spider-Man.
Which you kept bringing up 2 years before this.
I said at some point Disney's going to get pissed off about these and they're going to do something. They're going to throw their weight around and get YouTube to shut it down, or they're going to push for something. Yeah, so there are all these bootleg videos, and I don't know how common they are on YouTube now because I think the algorithm totally pushes them down, but it was people dressed up as like Anna and Elsa and other Disney characters and like Spider-Man, and they were doing all kinds of weird crap, and then they had like flash animation and like Elsa's getting, chainsaw out after somebody, and they're having like chainsaw C-sections, and they're pooping balls out of their, like, I mean balls like bouncing balls, right? But it was tagged as like children's content. So kids would be watching something like Cocomelon, or they'd be looking for actual clips of Disney content, and they would get this stuff,
So in 2019, Disney and a bunch of other people like Fortnite and other places decided they were going to withhold advertising from YouTube until they made it so it was safe for children. Okay.
Yeah,
keeping that in mind.
That was the claim. I think it was more like, we don't like you using our IP and us not getting paid. That's what I think it probably was.
So now we have 33 states.
Yeah.
We're talking about the attorney generals from 33 states working together to file a complaint in federal court. They filed at the end of November. They're saying that Meta's business practices violate the federal Children's Online Privacy Protection, COPPA, that's what it means, as well as other state consumer protection laws. 8 other states filed similar actions in state courts. So I'm not sure I guess those are 8 other states. You're talking a total of 41 states that have filed about this, unless those 8 were included in the 33, but it reads like they're separate. So 41 out of the 50 states have filed against Meta for they're doing this. They said it's because children are particularly susceptible to addictive technologies.
That's true.
Meta exploits these vulnerabilities, puts its quest for advertising revenue over the psychological and emotional well-being of young people. This is by Brian L. Schwab. From Washington, D.C. They said that the company falsely assured the public that its features were safe and suitable for young users. Its motive is profit, and is seeking to maximize financial gains. Meta has repeatedly misled the public about the substantial dangers of its social platforms. And they said among the things that they were saying were that, I don't know if it was in this one, but they were being accused of using personal information or information for kids under 13.
Under 13. So you're technically not allowed to open a Facebook account if you're under 13. We know kids do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not always the fault of the social media platform, because they're not in your house. I mean, they don't know that your kid's not 13. They're not lying. They don't know that. You have to parental permission otherwise. Yeah, and here they're talking about how we talked about the YouTube and the Google, was sued for the same thing. Disney was one leading the charge in 2019 on that one. They were one of the ones leading that, and now they knowingly, this lawsuit has been announced, for 27th of November, so it's been long enough. Now they know. According to a new report, they're talking about where companies are spending their money, and if you can scroll down a tad bit, it'll tell you that Disney and Comcast lifted their U.S. spending on the app owned by Meta they raised it 40% for Disney and 6% for Comcast. 40%. So Disney stopped advertising on X because of it was not a good look because of Elon Musk's comments.
Right.
But then they spent 40% more on Instagram, owned by Meta, which is now being sued by 41, or in a lawsuit by 41 different states in some manner, because they're violating COPPA laws. And Disney would have known that, and they still increased their spending.
So it's almost as if Disney's not really choosing its advertising spend based on morals. It's almost as if there's maybe a personal political vendetta against Musk and X, because certain people that Disney don't control that platform anymore.
But isn't that hypocritical?
It's incredibly, it's Disney.
Like pro-moder comments, it's a personal grudge.
It
comes across the same way here, Bob.
My personal opinion is that Bob Iger's friends are pissed off that Elon Musk owns the platform. They don't want to give the platform money. They think that if they stop advertising on X, it'll shut down before 2024.
Just in time for the election.
Just in time for the election. That's what I think this is all about. I think this is a politically motivated thing because, again, Media Matters is a very political organization. And my understanding, now I haven't looked into it, admittedly, I haven't looked into it a whole lot, but my understanding is that they were able to manipulate the algorithm to display Disney stuff next to white nationalist stuff so they could go screaming to people and be like, look what happens.
Right. But all that aside, if Disney said, okay, I'm pulling advertising because of this, okay, that they're allowed to do that.
Right.
And then they in turn said, oh, because of these lawsuits from 41 states or whatever the suit they're going to file, we're going to pull our advertising from Meta too because this is concerning. Then I would say nothing because I'm like, okay, at least you're being consistent. I mean, you must be standing by what you mean because you're doing it across the board, evenly enforcing this. You're not. You pulled from X because of anti-Semitism by Musk, supposedly, which I did see what he said, and it does read like that. I'm sorry. You can get pissed at me all you want, but I'm not a big fan of Elon Musk, and everybody knows it. But he did apologize and walk that back. But if they're going to say that they have to pull from him because it's a bad look and they don't want to be associated with that, then why the hell do you want to be associated with COPPA violations when you used that in 2019 to get stuff changed on YouTube?
I love the figure underscores the challenge facing Musk, who in late November unleashed a profanity-laced tirade against advertisers.
This stuff's probably why.
Because he knows what's
bullshit.
He knows what's going on. He knows what's going on. And look, basically when the advertising runs out, and we've seen this in television, we've seen it on these websites, and when the advertising runs out, then the platform dies. And they know this. All their news outlets and stuff, they're dying. They're, this organization, that organization.
Yeah, but the thing is, in this case, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Because what Musk said, you're trying to blackmail me for money? Like I'm the richest man in the world, bitch. Like, what are you trying to do? Well, no, beyond that, X, the way that it is right now, they probably could say, you know what, we're just going to put the whole thing behind a paywall and we don't need advertiser money. It might be suicidal. I don't know. I think it was suicidal to pay what he paid for X because it was all fake anyway. Everybody knew it. It was like the biggest open secret around.
Oh, yeah.
That Twitter was full of shit and half of the accounts weren't real.
Half the accounts. Yeah, and then we're finding out now that the games that these media companies play, HBO was actually hiring interns or hiring people to go out and create sock puppet accounts on Twitter to change the public perception of their products, their shows, whatever. There's controversy now. They think they're doing it in the comic book space too. And these people don't have control of that platform anymore, and they're pissed off. And we have an election coming, and Twitter was used. And
calling people meanie pants, racist, istophobic, whatever, isn't working anymore.
Somebody should call somebody that. Like, could you imagine Elon Musk just being like, you're a meanie pants, racist, istophobe. You really are, because I said so.
But the whole reason I'm bringing this up is there's a definite double standard here, which is concerning. As a parent and as somebody who's Disney's supposed to tout themselves as a family company. We're supposed to be, we want most of our businesses based on families. Except for Hulu, the Disney Plus was supposed to be family oriented. The parks were family oriented. There are a lot of family based things with Disney, and they want to use that, and their movies aren't doing really well of late because they seem to say they want that on one hand and do something else on the other. But now you're like not advertising on X because of comments Musk made, but you're going to still continue to advertise on Instagram because, even though Meta's under, suspicion of violating COPPA laws. I'm like, if you were at least consistent, I would give you props, but you're not. And that's where I'm like, well, then there's got to be another reason, doesn't there?
Yeah, well, they have to advertise. They got to advertise. But they're just like, we're not going to do it on Musk's stinky old platform.
I thought they aren't giving it all to TikTok?
I think they know that, like, TikTok is potentially
Well, he's BFFs with China, but even he's walking that back because I don't think he's even confident China isn't going to, take stuff and just run and then cut Disney out of it.
Yeah, they could. I mean, look what happened at the box office. Like, they spent all these years trying to, bank on China, and then China just one day, it was like they flipped a switch. They're like, you know what? Disney, we don't need your box office.
And they still
anymore.
let them put the Marvels. And look what happened there. Hollywood. It bombed.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up, guys. It's pretty interesting stuff. We'll keep an eye on it. Of course, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. And we'll talk later.
Bye.